I never expected a 6-year-old to change my life at a Christmas dinner. But then again, I never expected to be seated next to New York's most dangerous man either. My name is Natalie Brooks, and I'm a pediatric oncology nurse at Mount Sinai. The job pays decent, but between my mother's nursing home bills and my own student loans, I'm barely scraping by. That's why when my colleague, Sarah, begged me to cover her shift at a private Christmas event for wealthy families, I said yes. $500 for 4 hours of monitoring kids at some mansion party. I couldn't refuse. Before we dive deeper, if you're enjoying this story, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd subscribe to help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support means everything to me. I'd also love to know, where in the world are you listening from? Drop a comment below. The Castellano estate wasn't just a mansion, it was a fortress disguised as old money elegance. Security everywhere. Men in expensive suits with cold eyes. I clutched my medical bag tighter as a woman in a sharp black dress led me through marble hallways. You'll be monitoring Alessandro Castellano, she said crisply. 6 years old. Leukemia, currently in remission but requires constant supervision. His father is particular about his care. I knew that name. Everyone in New York knew that name. Dominic Castellano. The man who owned half the city through legitimate businesses and the other half through means the FBI could never quite prove. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, a 20-foot Christmas tree, 50 guests in designer clothes. But my attention went straight to the small boy sitting alone at a side table, picking at his food. Pale skin, sharp cheekbones, dark eyes too old for his age. Alessandro. I approached with a smile. Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a nurse. Mind if I sit with you? He looked up, assessing me with unsettling intelligence. You're here to babysit me. I'm here to make sure you're comfortable, I corrected, sitting down. How are you feeling? Tired. I'm always tired. His shoulders slumped. Everyone treats me like I'm made of glass. My heart squeezed. I'd seen hundreds of kids like him, brave, exhausted, craving normalcy. Well, I promise not to do that. Tell me, what's the worst part about this party? His lips twitched. The fake smiles. Everyone's scared of my papa, so they pretend to like me. That's awful, I said honestly. You're not scared, he observed. Should I be? Before he could answer, the room shifted. Conversations quieted. Every head turned toward the entrance. Dominic Castellano walked in like he owned the air itself. Tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair graying at the temples. Sharp jaw, sharper eyes. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than my car, and the way he moved, controlled, predatory, made my pulse spike. Dangerous. That was the word. This man was dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with rumors and everything to do with presence. His gaze swept the room and landed on Alessandro. Then on me. Our eyes met. Something electric shot through me, and I couldn't look away. Neither could he. For 3 heartbeats, the world narrowed to just us. Then Alessandro waved. Papa. Dominic's expression softened, barely, but I saw it. He approached our table, and up close, he was even more intimidating. And disturbingly attractive. Alessandro. How are you feeling? His voice was deep, controlled. Good. Natalie's nice. She doesn't treat me like a baby. Those dark eyes fixed on me. Miss Brooks. Sarah mentioned you'd be covering tonight. Thank you for coming. He knew my name. He'd vetted me. Of course he had. Of course, Mr. Castellano. Alessandro's been wonderful company. It's just Dominic. The way he said it felt intimate, like a secret. The dinner progressed. I stayed with Alessandro, who opened up more as the evening went on. He was brilliant, funny, and desperately lonely. Between monitoring his vitals and making sure he didn't overexert himself, I found myself genuinely enjoying his company. Dominic checked on us 3 times. Each visit, his gaze lingered on me a fraction too long. The fourth time, Alessandro had fallen asleep against my shoulder. I was gently stroking his hair when Dominic appeared. He trusts you, Dominic said quietly, something unreadable in his expression. He doesn't trust easily. He's a special kid, I whispered. You're lucky. Pain flashed across his face, gone in an instant. Luck had nothing to do with his cancer. The vulnerability in those words gutted me. This wasn't just a mafia boss. This was a father terrified of losing his son. He's strong, I said. And he has you. That matters. Dominic's jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought he might say something personal. Instead, he nodded. I'll have someone take him to his room. You should enjoy the party. But I didn't. I watched Dominic from across the room, surrounded by powerful people, completely alone. 2 weeks later, I was working my regular shift when my supervisor called me into her office. Natalie, we have a unique situation. Mr. Castellano has requested you specifically as Alessandro's private nurse. 3 times a week, afternoons, at their home. He's offering triple your current rate. I blinked. What? I know it's unusual, but the hospital board has already approved it. You'd still work your regular shifts, and this would be supplemental income. If you're interested. Triple my rate. That would clear my mother's bills in 6 months. But working for Dominic Castellano meant entering his world. Can I think about it? He'd like an answer by tomorrow. That night, my phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Brooks. It's Dominic Castellano. My heart jumped. How did you get my number? Alessandro won't stop asking about you. He wants to know if you're coming back. A pause. So do I. The honesty in his voice disarmed me. Mr. Castellano. Dominic. Please. Dominic. I'm flattered, but I need to understand why me specifically. Because you see him. Not the sick kid. Not the mafia boss's son. Just Alessandro. That's rare. His voice dropped. And because when you looked at me that night, you didn't see the monster everyone else does. You saw a father. That's even rarer. I closed my eyes. This is a bad idea. Probably. Will you do it anyway? Yes. I heard his exhale. Thank you. See you Monday, Natalie. He hung up, and I realized he'd used my first name. The Castellano home was as impressive as expected, modern, secure, comfortable. Alessandro's room was filled with books and art supplies. He beamed when he saw me. You came. Of course I did. Ready for some fun. We fell into an easy routine. I monitored his health, administered medications, but mostly, I just hung out with him. We painted, read stories, played games. He was brilliant, asking questions about everything from marine biology to space exploration. Dominic usually stayed in his office during my visits, but I felt his presence. Sometimes I'd catch him watching from doorways, expression unreadable. 3 weeks in, Alessandro fell asleep during story time. I was tucking him in when Dominic appeared. He's exhausted today, I whispered. But his vitals are strong. Thank you. He lingered. Would you join me for coffee before you leave? It wasn't really a request. I followed him to his study, dark wood, leather furniture, walls lined with books. He poured 2 cups of coffee with surprising grace. You're good with him, Dominic said, handing me a cup. Better than any nurse we've had. He's easy to care for. He's dying to know more about you. Asked me to investigate your entire life. A ghost of a smile. I told him that was inappropriate. But you already did it anyway. Before I hired you, yes. Single mother with Alzheimer's in a care facility. Student loans. No criminal record. 1 speeding ticket from 2019. His eyes met mine. You work yourself to exhaustion to take care of everyone else. Who takes care of you, Natalie? The question, asked so quietly, so genuinely, cracked something inside me. I don't need taking care of. Everyone needs someone. He set down his cup. Alessandro asked me yesterday why I'm always alone. Said I work too much and never smile. 6 years old, and he's worried about me. Are you alone? By choice. His gaze was intense. My world isn't safe for caring about people. Alessandro's already a target because of who I am. Adding anyone else would be selfish. Dangerous. I understood. This man had built walls so high, even he couldn't see over them. Alessandro doesn't care about danger. He just wants his father to be happy. He's young. He doesn't understand. He understands you're lonely. Kids always know. Dominic's mask slipped for just a moment, and I saw the exhaustion, the fear, the desperate love for his son. Then it was gone. Same time Wednesday? He asked, dismissing me gently. Of course. But as I left, I knew something had shifted. And I wasn't sure either of us could stop it. Over the next 2 months, Alessandro and I grew closer. He opened up about his fears, the cancer, losing his father, being alone. I listened, held him when he cried, celebrated his good days. And Dominic. Dominic was always there. Watching. Protective. The coffee after Alessandro's sessions became routine. Our conversations deepened. He told me about his wife's death, the guilt he carried, his terror of losing Alessandro. He's all I have, Dominic said one evening, staring into his cup. If something happens to him. It won't. You can't promise that. No. But I can promise you're not alone in this fight. His eyes met mine, and the raw emotion there stole my breath. You're dangerous, Natalie Brooks. How so? Because you make me want things I can't have. The air between us crackled. I knew I should leave, maintain professional boundaries. Instead, I leaned closer. What if you could have them? I'd ruin them. I ruin everything I touch. Not Alessandro. Not yet. The self-loathing in his voice broke my heart. Dominic, you're a good man. A good father. You deserve. Don't. He stood abruptly. Don't tell me what I deserve. You don't know what I've done. The things he stopped, jaw clenched. You should go. I wanted to argue, to push, but the pain in his eyes stopped me. So I left, feeling the weight of everything unsaid. Christmas approached. Alessandro's excitement was contagious, despite his fatigue. His latest blood work showed stable remission, but the doctors warned us to stay vigilant. Will you come to our Christmas dinner? Alessandro asked one afternoon. Please. It's just going to be me, Papa, and Aunt Victoria. Papa said I could invite you if I wanted. I glanced at Dominic, who was standing in the doorway. He nodded slightly. I'd love to, I said. Alessandro beamed. Perfect. I have a surprise planned. Alessandro, Dominic's tone held warning. It's a good surprise, Papa. You'll see. Christmas Eve arrived. I dressed carefully, a simple emerald dress, nothing too formal. When I arrived at the Castellano home, it was transformed. Lights everywhere, a massive tree in the foyer, the scent of pine and cinnamon. Victoria greeted me warmly. She was elegant, sharp-eyed, clearly protective of her brother and nephew. I'm so glad you could come, she said, hugging me. Alessandro hasn't stopped talking about you. Neither has my brother, actually. I glanced at Dominic, who shot his sister a warning look. He was devastating in a dark sweater and slacks, less formal than usual but no less commanding. Natalie. He took my coat, his fingers brushing mine. You look beautiful. Thank you. The dinner table was set intimately, just 4 places. Candles flickered. Christmas music played softly. It felt domestic. Like a family. Alessandro was vibrant, telling stories, asking questions. Victoria was funny and warm. And Dominic watched me with an intensity that made my skin heat. Then, as dessert arrived, Alessandro set down his fork and looked directly at me with those two old eyes. Natalie, I need to tell you something important. Alessandro, Dominic's voice held a warning. Papa needs a wife, Alessandro announced matter-of-factly. The table went silent. Victoria's fork clattered against her plate. Dominic went completely still. Excuse me. I managed. Alessandro nodded seriously. He's lonely. He won't admit it, but I know. So I've been trying to help. Son, stop talking. Right now. Dominic's voice was low, dangerous. But Alessandro, brave or oblivious, continued. He looked at me with complete sincerity. I told his secretary you're looking for a wife. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Dominic's eyes widened in horror. You did what? I told Marcus, your secretary, that you're looking for a wife. Alessandro said it louder, as if volume would make it better. I told him to help find someone nice because you're too stubborn to do it yourself. Victoria choked on her wine, trying desperately not to laugh. Everyone was shocked. Alessandro added proudly, completely missing the mortification on his father's face. Marcus dropped his coffee. The guard started laughing. Uncle Rico said it was the funniest thing he'd heard all year. Alessandro Michele Castellano, Dominic started, his voice deadly quiet. But then I realized, Alessandro continued, turning back to me with devastating clarity, Papa doesn't need Marcus to find someone. Because you're already here. And you're perfect. You're nice, you're not scared of him, you make him smile, he never smiles, Natalie, never, and you like me even though I'm sick. Alessandro, that's enough. Dominic stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. Why? Alessandro looked genuinely confused. It's true. You watch her all the time when she's not looking. You get dressed up on days she comes over. You check your phone constantly when she texts about me. And yesterday, I heard you tell Uncle Rico that she was. Alessandro. Room. Now. The command was absolute. Alessandro's eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but from frustration. I'm trying to help you, Papa. You're always alone. Mama's been gone for 3 years, and you won't even try to be happy again. I'm scared, his voice cracked. I'm scared that when I'm gone, you'll have no one. The words shattered the room. Dominic's anger evaporated instantly, replaced by devastation. He knelt beside Alessandro's chair, pulling his son close. You're not going anywhere. Do you hear me? You're not. But what if I do? Alessandro whispered, tears streaming down his face. What if the cancer comes back? What if? It won't. You don't know that. His small body shook. And I don't want you to be alone, Papa. I don't want that. So I told Marcus you need a wife because maybe if you had someone, you'd be okay. Even if I'm not here. The raw fear in that child's voice broke my heart. Victoria was crying silently, hand pressed to her mouth. And Dominic looked like his world was ending. Listen to me, Dominic said fiercely, holding Alessandro's face in his hands. You are not leaving me. I won't allow it. And you don't need to worry about me, capice? That's not your job. But I do worry. Because you're sad all the time, even when you pretend you're not. Dominic closed his eyes, and when he opened them, they found mine. In that look was everything, his fear, his loneliness, his desperate desire for something he thought he couldn't have. I stood slowly and walked over to them, kneeling beside Dominic. Alessandro, can I tell you something? He nodded, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. Your papa is one of the bravest men I've ever met. He's been through impossible things, and he's still here, still fighting, still taking care of you. That takes incredible strength. I glanced at Dominic. But even the strongest people need help sometimes. Even they need someone to care about them. Like you, Alessandro said hopefully. Maybe like me. Do you? He looked between us with desperate hope. Do you care about my papa? The question was too big, too honest. But this child deserved honesty. Yes, I said quietly. I do. Dominic's breath caught audibly. And does he care about you? Alessandro pressed, looking at his father. Alessandro, Dominic warned. Do you, Papa? Because if you do, why haven't you done anything about it? Why do you just watch her and pretend you don't feel anything? Because it's complicated. Adults always say that when they're scared. Alessandro's frustration boiled over. You tell me to be brave all the time. To fight. To not give up. But you won't even try to be happy. The accusation landed like a physical blow. Dominic looked at his son, then at me, and I saw the exact moment his walls began to crumble. You're right, he said hoarsely. You're absolutely right. Alessandro blinked in surprise. I am. Yes. Dominic stood slowly, pulling me up with him, never taking his eyes off my face. I've been a coward. I've been hiding behind excuses, good reasons, but excuses nonetheless. Because losing your mother nearly destroyed me. And the thought of caring about someone else, of risking that pain again. He stepped closer to me, and the intensity in his gaze stole my breath. But my 6-year-old son just told my secretary I'm looking for a wife, mortified me in front of my entire security team, and called me out at Christmas dinner because he sees what I've been too afraid to admit. His voice dropped to something rough and honest. I don't need Marcus to find anyone, Alessandro. Because you're right. She's already here. My heart pounded so hard I thought everyone could hear it. I care about you, Natalie, Dominic continued, his hand reaching for mine. More than I should. More than is safe. You've become essential. To Alessandro. To me. And I don't know what to do with that except tell you the truth. His fingers intertwined with mine. So yes, my son told my secretary I'm looking for a wife. Everyone was shocked. But the only person's opinion I care about is yours. The room held its breath. Victoria had tears streaming down her face. Alessandro watched us with hopeful eyes. Are you asking me something? I whispered. I'm asking if you'd consider staying. Not just for Alessandro. For me. Because he's right, I've been alone for too long, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of pretending I don't feel this. I'm tired of watching you leave every time, knowing I should say something and being too afraid to try. Everything I'd felt for months, every lingering glance, every interrupted conversation, every moment of connection, crystallized into clarity. I pulled him down and kissed him. Right there, in front of his son and his sister, I kissed Dominic Castellano with everything I had. His arms came around me immediately, pulling me close, and the kiss deepened into something desperate and claiming and absolutely perfect. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Alessandro was cheering loudly. I knew it. I knew you liked each other. Victoria was laughing and crying simultaneously. Best Christmas present ever. Dominic rested his forehead against mine, a real smile, the first genuine smile I'd ever seen from him, breaking across his face. So is that a yes? To what exactly? I asked breathlessly. To staying. To us. To giving me, a chance. Yes, I said without hesitation. Yes to all of it. He kissed me again, softer this time, full of promise and relief. Does this mean Natalie's staying for Christmas? Alessandro asked eagerly. If she wants to, Dominic said, looking at me. I glanced between the three of them, this broken, beautiful family, and felt something click into place. This was dangerous. Complicated. Absolutely insane. And exactly what I wanted. I'm staying, I said. For Christmas and, for as long as you'll have me. Forever then, Dominic said simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Because I meant what I said earlier. You're mine now, Natalie. If we're doing this, you need to understand, I'm possessive. I don't share. I don't let go. And my world isn't easy. I never wanted easy, I said. I wanted real. And this, I gestured between us, this is real. Alessandro ran over and hugged both of us, and Dominic wrapped his free arm around his son, creating a circle of three. Best Christmas ever, Alessandro declared. And Papa? Yes. You can tell Marcus he doesn't need to help anymore. I solved the problem myself. Dominic laughed, actually laughed, and the sound was beautiful. You certainly did. Though I'm never going to hear the end of this from my men. They needed something to laugh about, Victoria said, coming over to hug us all. And Alessandro, you're absolutely right. This was the best surprise. The rest of the evening was perfect. We ate dessert, opened presents, and Alessandro fell asleep on the couch between Dominic and me, a content smile on his face. He's been planning this for weeks, Victoria whispered, pulling a blanket over her nephew. Ever since he overheard Dominic tell Rico that he couldn't stop thinking about you. Alessandro decided his father needed aggressive help. Telling Marcus I was looking for a wife was aggressive help. Dominic muttered, though there was no real anger in his voice. It worked, didn't it? I pointed out. He pulled me closer, kissing my temple. Unfortunately, yes. My 6-year-old is better at this than I am. He loves you. He wants you happy. I am happy. For the first time in 3 years, I'm actually happy. He looked at me with such open emotion it made my chest tight. You did that. We did that, I corrected. All of us. Victoria quietly excused herself, leaving the three of us together. Dominic carried Alessandro to bed, and I followed, watching as he tucked his son in with gentle care. Ti amo, Papa, Alessandro mumbled sleepily. Ti amo, figlio mio, Dominic whispered back. We stood in the doorway for a moment, watching Alessandro sleep peacefully. He's going to be okay, I said quietly. I can feel it. I hope you're right. Dominic pulled me out into the hallway, closing the door softly. Because I don't know what I'd do if, he stopped, jaw clenching. Hey. I touched his face. Don't go there. Not tonight. Tonight was perfect. Let's keep it that way. He nodded, pulling me into his arms. We stood like that for a long moment, just holding each other in the quiet hallway. Stay tonight, he said finally. Not in the guest room. With me. I need you close. Okay. His room was exactly what I expected, clean lines, expensive but not ostentatious, a massive bed with dark sheets. He pulled me down onto it, and we lay face to face in the dim light. I'm going to protect you, he said seriously. From everything. Including my world. You need to know that. I know. And I'm going to be possessive and probably overbearing. I'm counting on it. And I'll want to know where you are, who you're with. I kissed him to shut him up. Dominic. I know what I'm signing up for. I've spent months watching you, learning you, understanding you. I'm not scared. I'm sure. Something in his expression softened completely. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. He smiled against my lips. Best Christmas present I've ever received. Better than the watch Victoria got you. Infinitely better. He pulled me closer, and I settled against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Thank you for giving me this. For giving us a chance. Thank you for being brave enough to take it. We fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, the sound of Alessandro's soft breathing audible through the baby monitor on the nightstand. 3 months later, everything had changed. Alessandro's leukemia remained in stable remission. His energy improved daily, his color returned, and his laughter filled the house constantly. I'd moved into the Castellano home officially. My mother had been transferred to the best Alzheimer's care facility in the state, paid for by Dominic, who refused to hear any argument about it. She's family now, he'd said simply. Family takes care of family. Dominic kept his promises. He was possessive, tracking my location when I was out, insisting on security when I worked my hospital shifts, growling at any man who looked at me too long. But he was also tender, thoughtful, present in ways I never expected. He left notes in my medical bag. Brought me coffee in the morning exactly how I liked it. Held me when I had hard days at work. Listened when I talked about my patients. And the way he looked at me, like I was precious, essential, never faded. Alessandro thrived with both of us there. He had color in his cheeks, light in his eyes, and the unmistakable satisfaction of a 6-year-old who'd successfully played matchmaker. "I'm very good at solving problems," he announced one evening at dinner, watching Dominic and me cook together. "You certainly are," I agreed, laughing. "The best problem solver I know," Dominic added, ruffling his son's hair. "Does this mean I get to be in the wedding?" Alessandro asked innocently. I choked on my wine. Dominic's hand froze mid-stir. "Wedding?" I managed. Alessandro looked between us with exaggerated innocence. "Well, Papa said you're staying forever. And when people stay forever, they usually get married. That's how it works." "Alessandro," Dominic started. "I want to be the ring bearer. I've been researching. I need a little pillow and a fancy suit." Victoria, who'd joined us for dinner, burst out laughing. "He's not wrong, Dom." Dominic shot her a look, then turned to me. "We don't have to. I mean, if you want to." He stopped, took a breath, and his expression shifted to something more serious. "Actually, Alessandro's right. If you're staying forever, we should make it official." My heart stopped. "Are you asking you to marry me?" "Yes." He set down the spoon and took my hand. "Not tonight, not like this. I'll do it properly, with a ring and a plan. But yes, Natalie. I want you to be my wife. I want you to be Alessandro's mother. I want this," he gestured to our makeshift family, "to be permanent." Tears filled my eyes. "Yes. I haven't asked yet," he said, smiling. "I don't care. The answer's yes." Alessandro whooped. "I'm going to be the best ring bearer." Victoria raised her glass. "To the woman who tamed Dominic Castellano with nothing but kindness and courage. Welcome to the family, Natalie." Dominic pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply while Alessandro made exaggerated gagging sounds and Victoria laughed. Was it perfect? No. Dominic's world still had shadows, rivals, threats, complications I was learning to navigate. Some nights I still woke up afraid, wondering if this was all too good to be true. But then I'd feel Dominic's arms around me, hear Alessandro's laughter echoing through the house, and know that this, messy, complicated, dangerous as it was exactly where I belonged. Sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. Like a 6-year-old boy with 2 old eyes and a desperate plan to save his father from loneliness. A boy who told his father's secretary that his papa was looking for a wife. Who shocked everyone at Christmas dinner with his announcement. And who, in the end, gave us all exactly what we needed, each other. "Thank you," I whispered to Alessandro later that night as I tucked him into bed. "For what?" he asked sleepily. "For being brave enough to help your papa. For bringing us together." He smiled. "That's what family does. We help each other." "Yes," I agreed, kissing his forehead. "That's exactly what family does." And as I left his room and walked into Dominic's arms, I knew that this makeshift, unexpected, absolutely perfect family was mine. Forever. This was a fictional story. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to Benny's Romance Stories for more dark romance daily. Comment what you thought or what story you want next. See you in the next one.